Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel Trading Secrets. This channel is for entertainment purposes only. For those of you who do not know, my name is Ali. I have over 20 years experience teaching accounting, economics, business and law. And through this channel I'll be providing some stock analysis and a quick update on the $1 Million Challenge. So if you're not aware of this is a journey of an investment of $1,000 to a return of $1 million over a period of 3 years using a strategy called compound return investing. So the objective is to try to get 201 trades, each with an average return of 3.5%. It's not 201 consecutive trades. We do take into account losses. So for further details about how to join us in the challenge for as little as $9 a month, information is available in the description below. In the previous video we looked at MMTLP and the focus was on some important updates including a legal perspective, so please refer back to the previous video. In today's video we're also going to be doing a follow-up in terms of the latest developments, which include updates from the website, which is now active, and also some important questions for FINRA that we're going to look at. So before we get started, let's have a quick look at what's happening in the market. So we can see a headline here from Bloomberg: US stocks decline. Obviously there is sentiment which is currently negative. Central banks have warned of more pain after hiking rates this week. Short-term treasuries rally and the US dollar is currently fluctuating. So if we have a look at the heat map, we can see here significant red, lots of sell-offs. Apple is down, Microsoft down, Amazon, Tesla. So not a great day in the markets. But in other important news, headline with regard to Metamaterials and MMTLP, headline that was shared yesterday. Metamaterials has now completed the distribution of Next Bridge Hydrocarbon common shares. So it does unfortunately look like MMTLP is not going to trade again. That's not what we wanted, but it looks like certainly the brokers are very resistant. So there are court actions going on that we're going to look at shortly as well. But let's have a look at this headline here, and it's stated here: holders of the Series A preferred stock of Meta at close of business on December the 12th will receive 1 share of Next Bridge Hydrocarbons stock for each Series A preferred share held. So let's now make a start in terms of the latest developments. Now have a look at the website, which is now active. So on the screen here we can see in terms of the key headline on the website, the company have stated that they have now 134,000 contiguous gross acres in the Rio Grande Basin. So they are identifying themselves as an energy company engaged in the acquisition, exploration, exploitation, development of oil and natural gas properties in the US, with a focus on interest in the Rio Grande Basin, West Texas, Hudspeth. So we can also see here in terms of other important information that is shared. The management team now, the person in charge is goes by the name of Clifton Dubose. He is the Chief Executive Officer and Chairman of the Board of Directors. So he will be responsible for Next Bridge. So it is no longer in the hands of Metamaterials, as we can now see. And in other developments from the FAQ point of view, we can see it states here: confirmation to the news earlier shared. The distribution of common stock was completed on December the 14th, 2022. So let's now have a look at the key questions that a lot of people are asking, and we can see at the top here, again identified on the company website, they've confirmed here FINRA halted trading of MMTLP prior to the start of trading on December the 9th. Yes, we all know that. FINRA made an announcement related to its decision, which we've already looked at. So who is a transfer agent? So we know the transfer agent is AST, American Stock Transfer, and they will be responsible for all of the Next Bridge Hydrocarbon shares. The other question everybody is now asking is, what shall we do if we have not received our common shares for Next Bridge Hydrocarbons? So it states here it's going to take approximately 2 weeks after December the 14th, 2022. So 2 weeks after that, I think that takes us towards the end of the year. And we're looking at close to the end of December, maybe the 28th of December. So let's see, hopefully that happens. However, unfortunately, I think there are going to be a lot more complications. So unless there is something done quickly, I do, in my personal opinion, think that may take a little bit more than 2 weeks, but fingers crossed the company do deliver on this from this point of view. And then finally, where else can I find more information about Next Bridge Hydrocarbons? So you can communicate with them directly. So they do have a new Twitter handle that I've shared. And the other thing I'd like to now share with you with regard to the website is a request for you to submit your information, identifying yourself as a shareholder, how many shares you have. So let's have a look at a tweet here from John Berder as to why they are doing this. So what John said earlier today is that obviously we're asking everybody to fill this form out, and this is the first step in the process of determining if there's an imbalance in the number of shares issued and what you own. The information will help to determine which people have been playing fair, which are culpable, and obviously we're now going to see, is there officially any figures which show that there are more than 165 million shares identified. I think we're fairly confident there are going to be. So this will be the first stage. However, it is highly recommended for you to fill this out and identify how many shares you have, and then we will be able to take it further. So let's now have a look at some recent communication from AST, and what they've stated here to one of the retail shareholders is: thanks for contacting our shareholder services department. Since your shares of the Series A preferred stock are held through a broker or other nominee, the broker will credit your account with the whole shares of NextBridge common stock received in the distribution on or shortly after the distribution date. So what this basically means is if you have shares through a broker such as Webull, Robinhood, Fidelity, TDA, etc., or Charles Schwab, then the broker themselves will be doing the transfer for you on your behalf. I'm not sure if the brokers are going to be charging, but certainly check into your account to see if they are. And it is certainly very important to make sure those charges are covered by yourself. And the reason for that is you don't want to be margin called, and you also don't want to be in a situation where there is a problem. So it's certainly better to pay any charges and then dispute or deal with it at a later date. So now let's have a look at another tweet from a legal point of view. So shout out here to Rosa, and what she's updated today is in her lawsuit against FINRA, she has now filed an emergency temporary restraining order. So that's good news, and again that will also hopefully give it more opportunity to present the facts more logically, clearly, and fingers crossed we get a judge that does listen carefully. So finally, let's now move on to have a look at some important and big questions for FINRA. So before we do that, shout out here to the Goblin King and what he stated here, tagging in FINRA, the SEC, and he's stating here, FINRA stating we protect investors. The SEC also state we protect investors. Obviously, MMTLP was halted, and was this to protect the hedge funds? Obviously, hedge funds can also be seen as investors. So copying in some of the US politicians as well. But from FINRA themselves, let's have a look at some of the messages that FINRA say. FINRA say we are not demons. Put an end to your fears and doubts. When you invest with us, a rare assurance for great investors. So who are these great investors? And are you really saying, FINRA, that you are not demons? So the woman there, maybe she is a demon. I don't know. We'll have to check on that. And another message from FINRA here is taking action, an advocate's guide to assisting victims of financial fraud. So I'm sure there are many victims of financial fraud here, and let's see if FINRA can certainly investigate and see what happens in terms of any outcome for that. But let's now move on to some of the questions that I'm going to present for FINRA here. So I've identified 8 key questions. So let's have a look at the questions. Number 1, so if FINRA do reply, this is question 1 that I would like them to deal with. So question 1, please identify which investors you're trying to protect by halting MMTLP for the final 2 days. So obviously the intention was to protect someone. Who was it? Was it retail investors? Was it not retail investors? So simple question. Could we have a simple answer? So obviously there was a justification for this. You stated here that there was the uncertain event that could have been a danger to investors. So can we have a clarification on any uncertain event, and what was this uncertain event? Because we are uncertain about the uncertain event. Number 3, why was there huge volume on the last trading day? Very, very few people were selling. Price went down 58%. Please explain what the hell is going on. Number 4, What are the plans for all the shorts who failed to close? Why was the situation in terms of allowing them to close on the last 2 days why would that have created a problem? So that is normally the course of events. That's normally what happens in trading. There are winners, there are losers. So why were the losers or potential losers this time not allowed to lose? Number 5, is it true that there were far more shorts not closed than the official figure of around about 4 million? We know even on the last day it was being heavily shorted. If anybody out there from the company or anywhere else is saying all shorts closed, well, that's gobbledygook. Definitely didn't close. Number 6, please provide a guarantee that all retail investors will get their shares of Next Bridge Hydrocarbons, and brokers will also deal with the synthetic shares. So we could potentially have a situation where there are more people with shares of MMTLP than the 165 million. So this is a huge mess. Somebody's got to clear it up. What's the plan? Number 7, was there any involvement of Ari? We all know who Ari is. And have you investigated complaints of a potential conflict of interest? So he wasn't on the board of FINRA, but he works very, very closely with FINRA, and he was on a board that FINRA works with. So I've shared details of that board on Twitter, so go ahead and have a look at that. But he definitely works very, very closely with FINRA. So was there any conflict of interest? Number 8, finally, who do you prioritize for protection? Is it the retail investors or is it the hedge funds and brokers? So obviously you are protecting, but who was protected this time? Simple questions. I would appreciate an answer to maybe even just one of these. And finally, if anybody would like to get access to our weekly watch list as well as our daily stock alerts, you can certainly consider joining us in the Discord for as little as $9 a month. Thank you very much for watching. Please stay tuned.